Alright guys, I believe I fixed my audio levels, but yeah. So yeah, sorry about the videos yesterday being really low. We noticed after they had all been done, but we just spent 3 hours recording vids. Also, the third video was never uploaded. I'll upload it today after these three. It's a conversation regarding Netflix being down, but it sort of went off the track as it normally always does when Satellite and I are in the chat together. But hey, it was fun, so we'll go through and we'll also upload that. So you'll have 4 videos today at the very least. Yeah, busy. Let's jump into it. Let's laugh at Australia, because Australia is sometimes ran by a bunch of morons. They really are. So, beer bug. Beer bug is obviously here in Australia at the moment. Australia is doing relatively well compared to some of the rest of the world, like Italy, for example. But yes, we do actually have the beer bug here. Now, up in Queensland, they have an election on the weekend. So, you would think that Queensland would be postponing the election, right? Like, you would think. But no, Queensland's not that smart. Or at least not the Queensland Premier anyway. So let's just go through it. We'll show you the state of Queensland at the moment and what they're planning to do. So strap in for this one. So Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk tells people, stay in your suburb. Queenslanders have been advised to stay in your state, stay in your suburb, but the by-election and the council elections will still go ahead. In a press conference this morning, Queensland Palaszczuk said that stay in your state, stay in your suburb, as the beer bug pandemic continues to sweep through the state. Ms. Palaszczuk will enforce the national closure of pubs, clubs, and bars, casinos, indoor sports vendors, and religious venues to control the beer bug. Schools will remain open. Now, this is from... When was this from? 23rd of March. So this is about 5 days ago, right? Schools will remain open. We're cracking down on large gatherings. The smaller the group, the better, Ms. Palaszczuk said. We're cracking down on when people congregate in large areas as adults, such as pubs, clubs, gyms, cinemas, casinos, and nightclubs. So, however, she said the council elections and the 2 by-elections are going ahead. A lot of people have already voted. We've stretched out those pre-polling times, and we have to extend it. So this is absolutely important. When you go to vote, you actually keep the social distance. So when you normally go and vote, depending on states and obviously the population, lines are normally out the door, out the wall, down the road, and around the corner. There's already, normally at the best of times, a fairly big line. Let alone when you're supposed to keep your socially distancing. So, I wonder how big the lines are going to be this time. But regardless. So like I said, this was back about 5 days ago, and the state has confirmed 259 cases, right? So obviously motorists face hours of delays as Queensland borders are locked down. So this was done yesterday, right? So police roadblocks were rolled out at Queensland's Gold Coast precisely at 10:01 a.m. on Thursday, as the state shuts its borders for the first time in more than 100 years. Cars heading through the M1 towards Brisbane were directed off the highway and questioned by police, although most vehicles with Queensland registrations plates were waved through. The last time the state restricted its borders was in 1918 during the Spanish flu epidemic. Of course, the traffic was a little different back then. It wasn't cars, it was trucks. It was probably horses and buggies on a track. Chute Superintendent Mark Willis said. He said that 1,000 Gold Coast police officers were planning to patrol the border within New South Wales for months, not weeks, to halt the spread of beer bug. Thousands of people living on the Gold Coast and in northern New South Wales will scramble to get permits, allowing them to travel to work and doctor's appointments. All air, rail, sea, road arrivals to the state must self-isolate for 14 days. However, people needing to cross the border for work, to deliver freight or care for sick relatives will be exempt from the strict rules. We are in the process of developing an online application exemption system, including a helpline, but will not be ready for tonight. So like I say, they're locking down the borders, shutting down pubs, clubs, gyms, cinemas, everything like that, telling people not to congregate in large groups, but don't worry, you're still going to have to vote. You might be in a large group when you have to vote, but you still have to vote. This is Australia. This is politics in Australia sometimes. Jesus. Anyway. Lengthy queues develop at the Queensland-New South Wales border after it closes for the first time in over 100 years. This is what people are having to go through right now. Roadblocks just to get into the border to go up to Queensland. Right? Like, but don't worry, you still have to vote. No school holidays. Queensland shuts borders in ramped up response. Anyone entering Queensland will have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks under the state's new borders. Queensland borders will close in a bit to halt beer bugs spread across the state. It comes to Australia. We're blocked from hanging out publicly in large groups and comply with Australia's strict new social shutdown policies. But you still have to vote. You still have to go and stand next to someone in a line to vote. Are they joking? Outrage as Queensland refuses to cancel 77 local government elections on Saturday despite deadly virus outbreak, with a $135 fine for voters who stay home. Yes, not only are you not allowed to stay home during a supposedly bad pandemic, we're still going to have to get you to vote, but if you don't vote, you're going to pay a $135 fine. Mind you, you can't go to your gym, your pubs, your clubs, your nightclubs, because people in groups are bad, but when it comes to the government doing their voting system, oh no, that group of people, that's fine, because apparently when you go and vote, you get some sort of magical treatment, some magic fairy dust that'll stop you from catching the virus, right? When you're standing in line for half an hour to an hour to go and vote, there's no way someone in front of you or 3 or 4 people ahead of you might actually have the beer bug. There's no way you're going to possibly catch it when you go and vote. Because it's magic. It's magic. But anyway. This week's local government elections in Queensland will go ahead despite a massive public backlash from health experts, and voters in Australia are told to stay at home and halt the spread. The Electoral Commission of Queensland insists it's perfectly safe for voters to head to the polls Saturday, despite the rapid growing pandemic. Nothing to look here, everybody, okay? Nothing to see, everybody. It's fine. Go vote. But you can't go to your pubs, your clubs, your nightclubs because there's a pandemic. But don't worry. Going and voting is different. Oh, God, they're morons. Of the 2,368 confirmed cases in Australia, 443 are in Queensland. Apparently Queensland is like the 2nd or 3rd highest right now. But don't worry, everybody, you got to go and vote. The Electoral Commission cited advice from the state's chief health officer that the 77 electoral councils should go ahead despite the national ban on gathering of 500 people outdoors to 100 indoors. Queenslanders will cop a $135 fine if they don't vote, unless they have a valid reason. Well, I don't know about you, but a valid reason might be a deadly pandemic flying around the city or the country or the state. I don't know about you, but anyway. The ECQ insists, which is the Electoral Commission of Queensland, insists carefully consider the impact of the bug before agreeing to the process. This is on the basis that the electoral facilities are an essential service. Well, they're service now, are they? By providing for the community the continued of democracy representation of Queensland, and measures will be put in place to poll at polling places to limit the number of people inside the building to fewer than 100. The Commission states on its website. Another recent post on its Facebook page adds, voting allows local government to form so they can make decisions about providing essential services to the community. Waste, transport and community services. People need their governments now more than ever. But the problem is that we have a government right now. There are functioning governments in Australia right now. I presume Queensland will still be fine after, the magic term for the council, right? Say the Queensland government has been in power for 4 years. Just say. I don't know when they went in, but just say. I don't tend to follow too much of Queensland election, but anyway. But say they go in, right? Say they went in 2012, 2016, 2008, whatever it was, right? You're going to tell me that because their term's running out, the government suddenly becomes inept. What? Why? Why that? Why can't the functioning government that's functioning at the moment still function after the magic cut-off date? Although I wouldn't call them smart. It's a Labor government up there, so I feel sorry for Queensland. Who knows? Maybe this will turn the tide, and maybe the Liberals will win it. But at the end of the day, yeah. On Wednesday, the ECQ posted a video urging voters to bring their own pens and pencils on Sunday to keep the required 1.5 metres from each other and to use hand sanitizers. So if you've got to keep 1.5 metres away from each other, and say there's a line of 100 people outside, that means there is going to be a 150 metre line. No. Yeah. 150 metre line, I might be failing at maths here, 150 metre line for 100 people lined up. For every 100 people, it's going to be 150 metres long. 200 people is 300 metres. 300 people is 450 metres. How long of a Congo line are you going to have up there? Or how long are we going to have in Australia when it comes to the elections? And I'd hate to think, when's New South Wales elections? Hang on a second, let me... Next New South Wales election. So 2023 for New South Wales, so they're fine. What about Vic? 2022 is the state election for Victoria. So they'll be fine. South Australia. 2022. WA. 2021 for Western Australia. So depending on how long this virus goes for, What about the Australian elections? Next federal election, 2022. So that's all right. So that'll be done by then. Yeah. So it's just Queensland, really. Well, why can't they wait? Why can't they just say, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic, we'll defer it 6 months? Or why can't they just go through and Yeah, like just wait 6 months. Even possibly doing it online now where you have to put in your identification markers or something like that. Why can't they do that? The reason why I'm worried about this is I have friends up in Queensland. You know, I got friends that moved up there and their family are up there. They got parents that are 65 to 70 years old up there. And they're supposedly got to go and vote on the weekend. The major age risk, and my friends' parents are going to have to go and vote. They're going to have to go and stand in a line. Not only that, but my friends, they're going to have to go and stand in line. They're at a lower risk, but they're going to have to go and stand in the line. Plus the other, 500,000 people that live up in the Gold Coast. They've got to go and stand in a line to vote. What about the people in Brisbane? They're going to have to go and... How many people live in Brisbane? 1 million people plus in Brisbane? They're going to have to go and stand up in line as well. Hang on. Brisbane population 2020. Brisbane's population in 2020 at the moment is... Okay, so in 2019 it was 2.56 million. So there is roughly at least 3 million people that are going to have to vote up in Queensland on the weekend during the middle of a pandemic. Well done, Queensland. Well done. Well done. Although, that I know I'm ragging on Queensland here a little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't think any other states would be different. I think Australian politics in itself is just run by a bunch of monkeys. You know those monkeys that you sit there and you pat the head and they bang the cymbals together? That's what I think of the Australian government right now. Let me see if I can find a monkey banging cymbal. Yeah, this is my view of the Australian government right now. This is Australian politics. That's my view on Australian politics right now. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think this is absolutely stupid that the Queensland is still heading to the election in the middle of a pandemic when they can't even supposedly go to a gym? They can't go to the movies, they can't go to the gym, they can't go to the pubs, nightclubs, or anything like that. But don't worry, you're still going to have to vote. And if you don't, you're going to get a $135 fine. Once more, with feeling. Here's another one for you. Let's watch this one. There we go. Yep, definitely the way I feel about the Australian government right now. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Hopefully no one will catch it. Hopefully no one elderly will get sick from this. And I sure as hope nobody dies. But I don't know. Maybe if that does happen, maybe that can be a silver lining. But I really don't want it to happen, But anyway. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, if you like this video, smack that like button. I've said that already. Have a great night, enjoy, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember, 4 videos today. 1 to make up for yesterday. Have a great night and enjoy.